Hi, I'm Micah, and today I want to talk to you all about why bugs should be the food of our future. Did you know that more than 2 billion people around the world eat bugs every day? That's almost a third of our population. Will you be part of that 1/3? Now, your answer at the moment might likely be no thanks, but did you know that many of us have already eaten insect-derived food products? It's true. For example, red dye, which comes from the female cochineal beetle, is used in many food products, including Starbucks strawberry frappe. Insects are something that many people find gross or creepy. They can be annoying or even scary. But what if I told you they could fuel our future? Now, I know this doesn't sound as appealing as a hamburger or a dish from your favorite restaurant. But insects as a food source have some surprisingly fascinating qualities. I know you might be skeptical or grossed out at this point. I once was too. I never really considered myself wanting to eat bugs, but now I don't think I would have a problem with it. I remember a couple years ago stumbling across a video that featured a restaurant which specialized in making insect dishes. I became intrigued because not only did these dishes look quite appetizing, I learned that different insects have different tastes to them and can be used in many ways for various dishes. Now, using Monroe's motivated sequence, I want to make you think and all consider about what the world of edible insects has to offer. During the speech, you will find that not only do insects hold a high nutritional value, they can also provide food security and are a sustainable alternative to traditional livestock agriculture. Unfortunately, agriculture hasn't always been sustainable. It isn't new news that our Earth has been reaping the consequences of our actions for a long time. Greenhouse gases have been negatively impacting the world. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, 14.5% of greenhouse gases come from the agricultural livestock, and cattle represent about 65% of this livestock sector's emissions. That's a lot. With cattle farming comes a change of land use as well. Around 6.7 million acres are bulldozed or burned down every day. Now, how does this make you feel? Should we keep continuing to destroy our rainforests for a hamburger or a steak? Not only does this action remove trees as their natural carbon sink, it also causes decades of stored carbon to be released into the atmosphere. Also, in some countries, food security is not always something a family or a person has. According to DoSomething.org, 11.3% of the world goes hungry. To put this in perspective, that's about 805 million people who go hungry every day, and 98% of that hunger occurs in underdeveloped countries. But that all can change. Let's see what insects have to offer. When harvested from the wild, eating insects is extremely sustainable. They don't require any extra land, feed, or water. And when farmed, crickets, for example, use 6 times less feed than cattle, 4 times less than sheep, and 2 times less than chicken and pigs to produce the same amount of protein. Not to mention, they can be grown in organic ways and produce less greenhouse gases and ammonia. With the possibility of helping our Earth stay clean at our hands, why shouldn't we take the chance? Entomophagy, the practice of eating insects, is not something that is uncommon to humans. People all around the world include insects in their traditional diets and have for many centuries. South America, Africa, Asia, Australia, and New Zealand are just some of the countries that include insects in their diets. According to an article from The Conversation, insects are rich in amino acids, which often are not present in a lot of the foods we eat. Also, insects have been used as such for ages by indigenous communities, such as the Mofu, living at the border of Cameroon and Nigeria, the Nganda people, living in tropical forests of the DRC, and the Bushmen in Namibia and South Africa. Medical news states that 100 grams of crickets contain 121 calories, 12.9 grams of protein, 5.5 grams of fat, and 5.1 grams of carbohydrates. When compared to 100 grams of beef, insects do have a little bit less protein, but they also have less fat. Through insect farming, we have a chance to provide hungry people with a sustainable and nutritional option. This shows us that we do have different choices for getting our protein. And if we realize what's at stake, we can all make a difference for our world and for our health. Now, you're probably wondering what the future looks like if more people accepted insects as a form of food. Well, there are already a handful of restaurants in the US that serve insects in their dishes. But Western culture has promoted a negative view towards bugs. They are usually seen as pests or something to be exterminated. But when we push the stigma away, we can peek into the vast and enticing world of edible insects and see what they can provide for us. Now, our first stop is in Miami, Florida, where at restaurant Bacan, they feature agave worms pan-fried to crisp perfection, as an article from Open Table reports. These are then paired with guacamole and served on blue corn tortilla. Yum! Now, agave worms aren't actually worms, but larvae, which have a nutty mushroom flavor to them, according to an article by HuffPost. Next, we stop at Washington, D.C., where grasshopper tacos are served at Oyamel. Most insects, especially grasshoppers and crickets, have a nutty flavor overall. Lastly, we stop in our own Wisconsin, where in Madison, Liliana's chef Dave Hyde experiments with mealworms to make crab cakes and uses crickets for bread pudding. I'm all about trying new things that are out of the norm, Hyde said in Wisconsin State Journal, and I definitely agree. Stepping out of your comfort zone and trying something new has great benefits, and I think is something that everyone should try once in a while. Now that you might feel less aversion to bugs as a food source, it's time to consider insects and our option for helping the earth and ourselves. What if I told you that you could make a positive impact by just eating? Would you be intrigued? After this speech, I sure hope so. Now, I'm not telling you to go into your backyard and dig into the cold dirt for some juicy insects. But next time you're at the grocery store or looking around for different food options, I encourage you all to be creative in what you choose and pick foods that are sustainable for the environment. When we as humans are more open-minded and accepting of new ideas, we can come much further as a global society to protect our livelihood. To finish up, I'd like to leave you with this. I urge you all to give eating insects a chance. I know it might sound strange, but they are sustainable and nutritional, and they contribute to food security around the world. Limited water, space, and feed use is what makes entomophagy so significant, and I hope that one day, especially in the Western world, this can make a real difference. Some of you might be glad that this presentation is almost over. So, these are the foods. And don't worry, I'm not mad. If there's one thing I want to leave you with, it's this. We as a human race must start to think sustainably about food for our future. Certain aspects of the way we live and eat are detrimental to the earth and our life. Without the planet we call home, we would be nothing. So let's start making a difference, even if it means starting with something as small as insects. Thank you.